Wow, man. Um, I don't even know what to say. Um, we certainly have a lot to talk about tonight involving The Rock and Cody Rhodes and everything that happened between those guys. This was probably the most bizarre, weird, confusing segments I've ever watched. It was bad. It was pretty bad. And I've never said this in my life. I love The Rock. The Rock is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I will never forget how he made WrestleMania last year with his Final Boss character. WrestleMania last year and the build to it was freaking incredible because of the work that The Rock did. But I can sit here tonight and tell you that The Rock cut a bad promo. Between going babyface and then heel and then babyface and calling the fans STD trailer park trash, going back to a heel, and then the shit between that happened with him and Cody. I I would be truly upset if one day this man actually got power in the WWE because it would not go well. I don't know if WWE is or Triple H is being cocky or arrogant with social media views or how many tickets they sell out arenas. It's awesome. Good for them. It's awesome. They're the best, the top wrestling company in the world. True. How much merchandise they sell, how much the record gates and all that. That's all fine and great. But we are on the fucking road to WrestleMania. We're on the road to WrestleMania. If we got a show like tonight that happened, okay, it happened in June, and we're 2 weeks away from some fucking Saudi Arabia pay per view. It wouldn't be that bad. I mean, the show would have been bad still, but it's like, okay, it is what it is. We'll get over it. But we are on the fucking road to WrestleMania. We have the Elimination Chamber next Saturday. And we got a piss poor effort show tonight where nothing mattered. And you want to know why nothing mattered? Listen to the reactions from the crowd. They did not give a shit about anything on the show. Because WWE made those poor fuckers in New Orleans, Louisiana tonight wait 2 hours. 2 hours to see The Rock. They could care less about the show tonight. They were there for The Rock and the announcement of WrestleMania 42. And we're going to talk about it a lot when we get to the segment, but what Ari Emanuel said about Elimination Chamber a couple weeks ago, it came to play tonight. And this was one of the weirdest, most confusing segments I've ever watched. And if this was supposed to ignite excitement for the road to WrestleMania, WWE did a terrible job tonight. A terrible job. And the show overall was terrible in itself. And I thought last week was a really bad show. I thought last week was really bad. Somehow, some way, this week's was worse. Absolutely nothing mattered on the show. There was not a single good match on the show. There was not a good promo besides Kevin Owens cutting a promo at Sami Zayn's house. That was legit the best thing on the entire show tonight. The best thing on the show was Kevin Owens cutting a promo at Sami Zayn's house. So, boy, we have a lot to talk about. And Cody, last year, when The Rock shook his hand and Cody was on the verge of tears, The Rock made Cody look like the biggest loser in the entire world. And tonight, again, a second year in a row, The Rock made Cody look like an absolute nerd at the end of the segment. A fucking nerd. So, I thank you guys for joining me tonight. We have a lot to talk about on a terrible episode of Smackdown. On the road to WrestleMania, of all things. So, I appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel. We have so much stuff coming up. We're going to be busy this week. We're going to be next week coming up. We're going to be busy the week after. I tell you what, man. If I get the show in Philadelphia in 2 weeks, like I did tonight, I'm going to be very sad. I'm going to be very upset about the show. So, I sure hope the show in Philly is better in 2 weeks than it was tonight. Because tonight's, golly, it was unacceptable. Unacceptable. So be sure to subscribe to the channel. We got so much stuff coming up, man. And also, be sure to go ahead and check out this week's review podcast. We have Monday Night Raw for Monday. We got AEW Dynamite from Wednesday. Be sure to go ahead and check those out. Those podcasts will be up in the last 20 seconds of this video. All you have to do is click on it, and it'll take you right to Monday's podcast and Wednesday's podcast. You click on that, it'll take you right to the video. But of course, don't do that until you watch the entirety of this video. So, they show everybody arriving to the arena. They show Cody Rhodes arriving to the arena, and he gets a handshake from Nick Aldis, and he talks about he's excited for the 6-man tag, and he says, well, Cody, it's no longer going to be a 6-man tag match because you're not wrestling tonight, and it's not in my control that you're not in this match. If you smell what I'm cooking, he said, The Rock has pulled you from the 6-man tag match tonight. It's now a tag team match between Damian Priest and Braun Strowman against Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. And tonight, The Rock wants to see you in the ring. So right at the first 3 minutes, we know later on, The Rock is going to be in the ring with Cody Rhodes. That should have been the first thing on the show tonight. Let's get that out of the way. Let's get that 30-minute segment out of the way so that we don't have to have these poor fans waiting 2 hours for The Rock to come out. I cannot believe that. Couldn't believe it. So, the first thing we had tonight was a match. It is very rare that a WWE main roster show opens up with a match. Very rare. But tonight it did. Drew McIntyre and Jimmy Uso was the first thing on the show tonight. So they had a fine back and forth. The spot of the match was a reverse Alabama slam by Drew McIntyre onto Jimmy Uso onto the steel steps on the outside. The booking of this match was absolutely, again, I'm going to go back to this word, horrible. It was horrible. Drew McIntyre beat Jimmy Uso and LA Knight. But Jimmy Uso was in that triple threat match 2 weeks ago to qualify for the Elimination Chamber. So, going into tonight, Drew McIntyre is competing in the Elimination Chamber match next Saturday. Jimmy Uso has nothing going for him right now. Jimmy Uso's in no storylines right now. Who do you think should have won this match tonight? I think Drew McIntyre should have won this match tonight to give him at least some fucking momentum going into the Elimination Chamber. Who won? Jimmy Uso. Surprise roll up. Jimmy Uso beat him just for Drew McIntyre to attack him after the match, get pulled by agents and security guards, just to run down to the ring again and Claymore kick Jimmy Uso. What was the fucking point of Drew McIntyre losing tonight when he's in the Elimination Chamber match next week just to Claymore kick Jimmy Uso after the match? Is Drew McIntyre feuding with Jimmy Uso? What the fuck? Why did this happen? I have no idea why. But it was not good. It was totally not good. So, Drew McIntyre, 8 days away for a chance to wrestle Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, loses to Jimmy Uso. Then we had a segment backstage with R-Truth and Carmelo Hayes, where Truth challenged Hayes to a match. Hayes was like, that I already beat him last week, but Truth's like, oh, it's made already. And him made the match. Instead of saying he made the match, R-Truth kept saying him made the match. And it was The Miz, because he's trying to get this stupid tag team over between him and Carmelo Hayes with Mello Don't Miz. What is going on with Carmelo Hayes? Why is his booking so bad? He is, right now, probably the worst booked wrestler on the main roster. It's either him or it's Finn Balor. One of those two guys are the worst booked guys on the main roster. You can also throw the women's mid-card champions in there as well. So, R-Truth and a mystery partner versus Carmelo Hayes and The Miz. Truth says this is a Louisiana resident, and he calls him Louisiana Knight. So, LA Knight is R-Truth's tag team partner. We're on the road to WrestleMania. LA Knight's one of the most over guys in the WWE still. And here he is teaming up with R-Truth to wrestle The Miz and Carmelo Hayes. Just get the United States Championship back on this guy and get him a legit program going into WrestleMania for the title. So, the finish was Knight's on the outside, and he gets round kicked in the head by Shinsuke Nakamura, and then he gives him a Kinshasa, And that lays out LA Knight, and R-Truth's confused. LA Knight just got taken out, and The Miz sets up for a skull crushing finale, but Mello is on the second rope, and as Miz goes for the skull crushing finale, Mello hits a code breaker onto R-Truth. That looked very sloppy. I never want to see that again. But Miz and Mello get this team, and they're trying to get this tag team over between them, and it's terrible because Carmelo Hayes is so much better than this. LA Knight is so much better than this. It's a damn shame, man. It was not a good night for Tiffany Stratton. It was not a good night for Tiffany Stratton. So, first, before her match with Candice LeRae, she cut a promo. And she was so bad. This crowd could care less about what she had to say. She talked about, I don't even remember. It was just the delivery of it was not good. Her mic skills are definitely the weakest part of her of Tiffany Stratton on the main roster. She's not that good at promos, and she needs to work on that. So Candice and Nia interrupts her, and we get Candice versus Tiffany, and my goodness, this match was sloppy, but that's not the main focal point of this match. The main focal point of this match was, goddamn, Tiffany Stratton should be thanking the Lord that she did not break an ankle tonight, because Nia Jax and Candice LeRae were out of position to catch her. So she's going for the moonsault off the top rope. They don't catch her, and she lands with one foot flat, her left foot flat, and she lands on her right heel, and she slips. And my God, I was so scared because that could have went horribly wrong. That could have went really bad. And she could have broken an ankle. She could have twisted her ankle. She could have possibly injured an ACL. But that was horrifying to watch. And thank goodness nothing happened, because it would have fucked all their plans for WrestleMania between Tiffany and Charlotte Flair. And there was another spot too. They were on the outside, and like Tiffany and Candice were moving in slow motion, but I don't remember what it was. Tiffany won, of course. Nia and Candice beat her up after the match. Trish came out. They beat up Trish and Tiffany, and it got made official for Elimination Chamber. It's going to be Tiffany Stratton and Candice LeRae against Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. I don't like this booking. It's the same thing Rhea Ripley did last year in the middle of her build with Becky Lynch. Rhea Ripley had Nia Jax as her roadblock before going into focusing on her WrestleMania build with Becky Lynch. She was feuding with Nia Jax for weeks and weeks, and then after that, they had Becky Lynch feud with Nia Jax, and it's the same thing. Hopefully not, but so far it's the same thing with Tiffany Stratton, where She's supposed to be feuding with Charlotte Flair, getting ready for that match at WrestleMania, but Nia Jax is her roadblock. It's rinse and repeat. It's the same storyline last year between Rhea Ripley, Nia Jax, and Becky Lynch. Hopefully, we're just all done with this at the Elimination Chamber, and we can permanently move Tiffany Stratton on to Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. But for tonight, I'm just so thankful that Tiffany did not get injured. That moonsault was so scary. She really could have broken an ankle. And if that happened, she would have had to relinquish the title, and it would have fucked everything up for WrestleMania. So, what happened next? God, this show's terrible. We were supposed to get Liv and Naomi, but Bianca and Naomi were making their entrance, and Liv and Raquel attacked them, laid them out. Liv hit the Oblivion on Naomi, and there's no match tonight. So, we're just going to wait until Monday for the tag team title match. And not like I give a fuck about the tag team titles, but I think Liv and Raquel are going to win those titles on Monday. And then we had The Rock. He pulled up in his big Ford truck at the Smoothie King Arena, and he comes out in this New Orleans themed music before his actual entrance, and the crowd is going ape shit. And the crowd chants Rocky, Rocky, Rocky. And the first thing he does is he does his shtick. He sings "Oh, When the Saints Go Marching In." And then we get the reveal that WrestleMania 42 is going to be in New Orleans next year. So Rock says New Orleans, they get WrestleMania next year. The crowd goes crazy. They're chanting holy shit, holy shit. And they're chanting yes. And then he gets to business, and he says he wants to call someone out that he's become a close friend with, and he's put the company on his back. And he says, I'd like to welcome you, the WWE Champion, Cody Rhodes. And if I look like I'm reading down while I'm talking about this, I'm reading my notes that I tried to take on everything that happened during this segment. So, he praises Cody. He talks about what a great champion he is. He says how much of a great champion Cody is. And this was very confusing from The Rock because he is a baby face, and then he shit on the crowd, calling them STD trailer park trash. And then he's a baby face again, and he's a baby face in the start of the feud with Cody, and he's a heel, and by the end of this, he's a fucking heel. This was so confusing. So bad. He says, Cody, you are a great champion, but I want you to be higher. I want you to be on a higher level. I want you to be my champion, Cody. He said, I've gotten everything. I've accomplished everything that I had in life, and I want that for you. And he says, if you're my champion, I can get that for you. I can get that for your lovely wife. I can get that for your baby daughter. And then when me and you are in the skies, your daughter is going to be set up for life. And he's really putting pressure on Cody. And then he talks about the money and the power. He says, he talks about TKO and that The Rock is on the TKO board of directors, and I'm like, here we fucking go. Here we go. And he tells Cody that he is the most powerful man in the WWE. He wants Cody to be his champion, and he wants Cody to be his brother. So, Cody says, that's great and all, but I'm their champion. And he points to the fans. And he then goes, he talks about their moms being friends and having Terramana Tequila in Los Angeles on the Netflix show backstage. He talks about, again, wanting Cody to be his champion. He then circles around the ring and he puts his hand on Cody's shoulder, and he says, there's nothing in the world that I want more than that. And he walks around the ring again, and he says, so all of this is for the fact that you want my WWE Championship? And he tells him, no, I don't want your WWE Championship. And he starts caressing his face and rubbing his hand on his face. And he says, Cody, I want your soul. And he smirks at him. And he leaves. And Cody looks fucking flabbergasted. I'm sitting in the living room. I don't know what to say. I'm speechless in a bad way. And that was I don't even know what to say, man. He says, I'll give you 1 week to think about it, but I want your answer a week from tomorrow in Toronto at the Elimination Chamber. So, why the fuck do these guys have to meet at the Elimination Chamber? Rock is meeting with Cody next Saturday in Toronto to get an answer. If I'm so confused, what is Cody answering? That if he is going to sell his soul to The Rock, if he's going to suck up to The Rock and be a kiss ass, dude. So The Rock's, and then there's people on social media defending this, and saying it doesn't have to end in a match. It's like, what are you talking about, man? We're watching a wrestling show where we want people, yes, the story is very important, but we want the wrestling. We want wrestling on a wrestling show. It has to end in a match. And at the end of this, I'm just like, what's the point of the Elimination Chamber? Is The Rock just going to insert himself into the Elimination Chamber match? At the Elimination Chamber? Is it going to be a 3-way? Is Cody going to have to wrestle twice? I have no idea. But after tonight, they did something that I didn't think would be possible. So going into tonight, for next Saturday, I was very excited about the men's Elimination Chamber match. You've got Punk. You've got Cena. You've got Seth. You got McIntyre. And all those guys in the Elimination Chamber match. The amount of talent that's in that match was going to be great. And now, going into Elimination Chamber, it feels secondary compared to this. So, I guess if I had to say a positive, the best positive about this is it gets Rock and Cody to Elimination Chamber next week. I have no idea what's going to happen on this show. I don't have no fucking clue what The Rock's going to say, what Cody's going to say. I guess we'll find out what the story is at the Elimination Chamber. Is Cody going to tell The Rock to go fuck off? I don't know, man. I guess the best solution to all of this is Roman Reigns comes out and he tells Cody not to fall for the trap and don't sell his soul to The Rock. And therefore, we can get Cody focusing on the winner of the Elimination Chamber, which is more than likely either going to be Cena or Punk. We can get Roman versus The Rock. It's probably going to be Cena against Cody. We can get Roman versus The Rock. We can get Punk versus Seth. And we'd be all fine. But I don't know. Last year, they got themselves into a mess, and it worked at the end. I don't know if it's going to work this year, man. I don't know. This was the weirdest, one of the weirdest segments I've ever watched. Watching WWE for 16 years. I've watched wrestling for 16 years. This is one of the weirdest segments ever. From Cody's acting at the end, which made him look like a complete nerd, to the explanation of everything with not wanting the championship, wanting to be his champion. What the fuck does that even mean? I want you to be my champion. This sounds like a Vince McMahon storyline. It really does. So, I guess we'll find out everything at the Elimination Chamber next Saturday. And then I'm going to run through these next couple things Pretty Deadly against DIY for the tag team titles. Ended in a DQ. Street Profits ended the match, attacking both teams. Motor City Machine Guns came out too. They attacked them. The Street Profits stood tall. It's looking like a four-way at WrestleMania for the tag team titles. This was the best thing on the show. Kevin Owens cut a promo. He talked about how selfish Sammy was and how much he wanted this match, but how hard it's going to be for their families, especially Sammy's family. You don't want to have to put your wife or your kid through that. And Kevin takes his phone and he starts filming inside the house between Sami Zayn and Kevin and his wife, and it looks like the kids having dinner. And he says, "It's gonna make me really upset to what I'm gonna have to put you through next week at the Elimination Chamber in front of them." So that was probably the best thing on the show. And then the main event was Damian Priest and Braun Strowman versus Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. It was a fun match, but I just had no energy by the end of this show. So I didn't care. Solo was going for the spike, but he missed and he ducked. And Jacob super kicked Priest, and he wanted to do it again. So Solo held him up. Priest ducked and hit. He super kicked Solo instead. Braun Strowman did a shoulder tackle onto Jacob. South of Heaven to Solo. And the baby faces Priest and Strowman win. It's another week of a Bloodline tag team match main event. It's the same thing every week on SmackDown. And more miscommunications between Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa. So, I don't know. This show exhausted me, man. It exhausted me. So, I'm done. I'll see you guys Monday for Raw. Subscribe to the Big Fight Field channel. Comment down below if you your thoughts on the show. Hit the like button if you liked or heard from me. Follow me on Twitter, Conlon_Joseph. We'll have a pretty busy week here next week. With it being the Elimination Chamber next weekend. We'll have Raw on Monday. And then 4 straight days of videos. We'll have AEW Dynamite Review Wednesday. We'll have Elimination Chamber predictions on Thursday. And as of tonight, and this is probably the final card of the show, we got the Rock and Cody Rhodes that are going to be on the show. Cody Rhodes is going to give his answer to Rock next weekend at Elimination Chamber. We have Nia Jax and Candice LeRae versus Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus. We have Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens in an unsanctioned match. We have the Women's Elimination Chamber match. Liv Morgan, Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, Bayley, Naomi, and Roxanne Perez. And then the Men's Elimination Chamber match, which I'm less excited for tonight because of everything with The Rock and Cody Rhodes. We have John Cena, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul, Damian Priest, and Seth Rollins. So we'll be predicting that on Thursday. We'll have SmackDown again on Friday. And then Saturday night, Elimination Chamber review. I'm getting out of here. Have a good night. Stay safe. And as always, stay classy and love wrestling. I'm out. Peace.